We provide health care to all of the active duty as well as retirees, family members, to those stationed here or living in this area. We're about 400 personnel to include active duty military as well as civilian and contractors. We provide support to McGuire-Dix-Lakehurst. We also provide some support to other units outside, more in ancillary services and logistics and supply chain management, that type of thing. We have individuals that do deploy overseas, not necessarily as units. Medically, we tend to deploy more individually. So they're looking for a family practice doctor. So they may pull a family practice doctor, or they may be looking for a nurse, and so a nurse goes over. Some of the other units, flying units, they may go over 5, 6 aircraft and crew at a time. It all depends on what's needed. A lot of people ask, what do we do? And for myself, my job is very similar to what it would be in the civilian world. In the COO position, I kind of have the corporate job. I show up to work wearing camouflage every day instead of a business suit. There are some differences. We do have a lot of the military aspects, the training, being ready to deploy, and some of our missions are definitely different than what they are on the outside. It depends. I mean, when usually a lot of people that are mobilizing to deploy from here are Guard and Reserve, and so they come from all different aspects of life, and so some are in the top health, and some are not quite as healthy as others. So our job is to get everybody ready to deploy, get the immunizations, the physicals, and all of that necessary. And potentially to screen out some that may not be healthy enough to deploy. It is a little bit of everything. So there are people with injuries. Most that have severe injuries, they don't come through here through the demobilization process. They would be medically evacuated out of theater, and then they would go probably to San Antonio or to the DC area, or one of the larger hospitals where they would receive definitive care. It was, up until about April this year, it was one of the major demobilization bases in the Department of Defense. Since the drawdown in Afghanistan, that mission has receded, has pretty much gone away. We've transitioned from mobilization to annual training, and so now a lot of what's done in the ranges here, the Guard and Reserve units have to do their training each year, and so they'll come here, they'll do their training, and then they'll go back home. While our mission has gone down in one sense, it's picked up considerably in that mission. It's been a great positive establishing the joint base. We don't just service Air Force, even though I wear an Air Force uniform. Here on the joint base we have Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, and we're actually the only joint base that stood up that encompassed 3 different services. All the other joint bases around the U.S. are Army and Air Force, Army Navy, or Navy Air Force. This is the first one that's actually all 3. Not necessarily needs. Healthcare is healthcare. There are different aspects of it. For flyers, we have to do flight physicals and get them ready to fly. The Army has some other requirements. A lot of it's just administrative. I mean, health is health, and so our goal is to bring people to optimal health. So their needs are often the same. They're not mobilizing to deploy, but in a sense, they're mobilizing, getting their training so that they are ready to deploy. So in a sense, a lot of it's very similar.